Hello and welcome back to my tutorial series. Let's focus on drawing a straight bow. Now our natural position for our arm is to draw an arc. And as you draw the bow without any kind of corrective moves, you'll see that you'll end up with something like this. And that's very easy to do because we're connected at one point here, and when you draw the arm, it just wants to draw a curve in this manner. So in order for us to draw a tip to frog or frog to tip full bow in a nice straight path, we have to undo that curvature and basically create a reverse arc to cancel it out. So what I'd like to do is have you divide your bow into two parts, the lower half and the upper half, and treat them independently for some exercises in development. Let's begin first by focusing on the lower half of the bow. So when we draw our up bow without any corrective measures in place, the bow is easy to go in this angle here, in this direction. So basically what we're going to need to do is draw the reverse direction here to undo that and straighten it out. And a couple of things play into letting that unfold. One is as you draw the up bow from middle to frog, you're going to need to gradually raise that wrist up. And you'll roll the bow on the outside of the hair, and that will actually take care of a lot of the correction right there. But it's not only that, it's also some of the little finger drawing the bow in towards the palm here. Now in order to achieve that movement though, you'll have to allow the index finger to open up a little bit and let the bow move in the other direction. So these two fingers are counteracting each other's motions. So if you want to draw this finger into the palm, you have to open this up a little bit to let it out. And vice versa, if you need to do the reverse by extending the little finger and pushing it out this way, you'll need to then bring the index finger in and draw that inwards. But for the lower half of the bow, we'll be changing our hand from our regular position, which is in the middle of the bow, to this at the frog. So from here to there. Now, it will feel like the bow tip is sort of going out in this direction. So that's a good association to have with this too. It helps you to understand that feeling and how to draw the little finger in and have some sense of when it's correct or not quite in the right place. So let's do some exaggerated practice runs of that where you purposely make the point go out a little bit further than you might need. Bring it out. And now when you return path, try to retrace that path you just created initially. So you can see it's an obvious exaggeration just to get the point across visually through the video, but just practice doing that so you get some control and feel and widen the range of motion in your hands. Now let's go ahead and focus on the upper half of the bow. This one will also have to give a sensation of pushing outwards or forwards, almost like tracing a very slender letter J here. And as you progress further and further to the tip, you'll need to slide that hand forwards a little bit, and that elbow will need to open up in a forward manner, a couple inches perhaps, and that depends and is more dependent on arm length than anything. I have longer arms, so I don't need to probably push as much forward as some other people might. So let's go ahead and begin in the center bow, flat bow hair this time right here, and we're going to keep the hair flat throughout the stroke. And as I progress, I'm thinking of pushing the bow more and more outwards ever so slightly. And I'll again exaggerate that for the video's sake. Now retrace our path back in that we just created. So that would be a good initial introduction to how to feel the paths and have an understanding of where things are going and in which part of the bow they need to go. So and then the next step would be to do lots of repetition in each of those halves of the bow, just mastering those small subtle controls and then refining how much of that corrective move you're making it, minimizing it little by little until you feel like you've got a pretty good straight line going. So let's focus on the A string. I'll do the lower half of the bow playing up to the frog and back down, starting with a little bit more exaggeration and then gradually refining that down. Okay, so by that point I feel like it was pretty straight. Now keep in mind the visual parallax, the angle that you're looking at the string and bow from, is a very clumsy angle. It's very hard to tell when you're truly parallel to the bridge, perpendicular to the string. It might not visually seem that way. And to be honest, it's very hard for me to tell. And I won't know for sure unless I look back at the video. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and have a video comparison, or at the very least a mirror you can sort of refer to, but I find that a little bit less natural because generally you're not looking this direction when you're playing the violin, so the perspective and the shift might throw you off a little bit. It might be hard to feel and really tell. So I think a video is a good way to do this. Now let's go ahead and focus on the upper half. So now I pushed it forwards. I'm going to try to retrace that path on the way back. Flat hair the whole time. And now slightly, little by little, gradually reeling that back until I can try to get a nice straight result. So again, from my visual perspective, that seemed pretty straight, and we'll know better when I'm looking back at the video replay. So I would say go ahead and focus on just dividing your bow into the two equal halves, starting always from center, which is a nice neutral point because you've got your regular bow grip formed in there, and then you can go ahead and focus on the way those angles are maneuvering. Lots of repetition, just play it slowly, relax, keep deactivating tension. Tension is just the enemy of all the movements and techniques that we are using in violin playing in general. So I'll finish up the video with a little demonstration of some full bows on all four strings for you. Starting down bow with the frog. All right, there you go. Have a great time. Practice hard. We'll see you again in the next video. Thank you.